Hey, y'all, I'm Shane Sams, the host of the Flipped Lifestyle Podcast. Super excited to be back today with another member of the Flipped Lifestyle community. On today's podcast, I welcome community member Cindy Dunn. Cindy had an amazing post inside the Flipped Lifestyle community forums the other day. She posted a big picture from the Wizard of Oz. It said it was the yellow brick road going off toward the rainbow into the sunset. And Cindy said, "I'm on the yellow brick road now for sure. I have my first paying member." Not only that, she signed up yesterday. When I saw the PayPal status was pending, I assumed there was something wrong on my end. But she emailed me to say, "Hey, I love this so much. This sounds like exactly what I was looking for. I want to go ahead and sign up for 6 full months." Cindy just followed the Flip Lifestyle blueprint, put her product out there. Somebody signed up and was like, "No, I'm not giving you enough money. I need to give you more money." Cindy goes on to say, "I've accomplished more in the last 3 months as a member here in the Flip Lifestyle community than I have in the 3 years before joining, since trying online business." To every single member of the community who is striving and hoping to change your life and serve your members, keep going. Those members are waiting for you out there. I can see that now. Thank you to the Flip Lifestyle team for supporting all of us. And thank you, Shane and Jocelyn, for building this community. That is why we built the Flip Lifestyle community, y'all, is to help real people change their lives with online business, with memberships. And when we see somebody taking action in the Flip Lifestyle community, guess what we do? We reach out to them and say, "Hey, you come on the podcast, you're taking actions, you're getting results. Let us help you figure out your next steps." So that's what I'm going to do for Cindy today. I'm going to let you guys listen in so maybe you can figure out your next steps as well. On today's podcast, we're going to talk about self-sabotage. What happens when you get a little success and then you keep sabotaging, you keep stopping, you freeze, and you don't take that next step. We're also going to talk a lot about technology today. What kind of tech do you need to actually run a membership? Cindy's got herself into kind of a convoluted mess with how she's hosting her website, how she's hosting her membership. So we're going to clean that up today. We're going to tell you how we solve the tech problem in our business. And we're also going to dabble into some perfectionism. I know perfectionism holds a lot of people back. Cindy is extremely competent at her job that she does in her real world full-time career. And that's kind of spilling over into this new area of online business. It's kind of holding her back. She's holding herself to that same standard. I'm going to help Cindy overcome all these problems and challenges today. I'm going to give her some next steps, and I know you are going to find your next steps as well. So again, thanks y'all so much for listening. Turn the volume up, sit back, relax, enjoy the show. Welcome to the Flip Lifestyle Podcast, where life always comes before work. We're your hosts, Shane and Jocelyn Sams. We're a real family that figured out how to make our entire living online. And now we help other families do the same. Are you ready to flip your life? All right, let's get started. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Flipped Lifestyle Podcast. It is great to be back with you again today. Man, I'm excited to talk to another member of the Flipped Lifestyle community to help them celebrate some success, to help them take their next steps, overcome those mindset issues and obstacles that are holding them back. And pumped up today to talk to Flipped Lifestyle member Cindy Dunn. Hi, Cindy. How are you?
Hey, Shane. I'm fired up to talk to you.
And if you watch this on YouTube, guys, Cindy didn't have lights, so she's in the witness protection program. So we might have to protect the innocent here. No, I'm just kidding. I just play around. 99% of people listen on the podcast. Anyway, so the reason Cindy is here though is because she posted an amazing post inside the Flip Lifestyle community forums. It was a picture of the yellow brick road. And I thought that was a very creative way to celebrate your success story. And you said, "I've accomplished more in the last 3 months as a member here than I have in the last 3 years before joining." And I launched and got someone who wanted to join my membership. And she didn't just want to join. She asked you to sign up for 6 months all at once, right? Like she asked for that. So you got your first member coming out of the gate, right?
Well, that was one of those overnight successes that took 20 years.
It took you 20 years to find us. That's all it was. To find the community, you know? But so where did that member come from? Like, how did you get that first member? That's a question everybody asks us. Like, how did you get your first member? I'm like, where did yours come from, Cindy?
So my online business idea, I've had it as a hobby website for a very long time. And she had been following that website. And there was quite an adventure as far as that was concerned. I had never built an email list for that hobby website. So once I started building an email list earlier this year, then she somehow found it again. I think it must have been through Google search, because I'm up to 10 members right now. I've done no advertising. I've done no outreach. That goes back to that psychological self-sabotage. I think they're finding me anyway. So
That's exactly right. It's you got a good offer. We always say if you can find one, you can find 101. But you found one, and not even trying, 10 more showed up. Like they're multiplying, like gremlins getting wet from that 80s movie, right? Like everybody's just like appearing. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So this is interesting. So you've got this hobby site you've had for a while. Let's talk about that for a second. You've got this hobby site. You were just doing it. Weren't really thinking money. Weren't really thinking anything. What's the hobby site about? Like, what is the niche that we're talking about?
So, it's foreign languages, but it's not exactly instructional because there's a ton of sites out there that are instructional, grammar and quizzes and all that kind of stuff to learn a language from scratch, even if you want to. This is for people who've already started studying the language, and it's called the Foreign Language Library Online. So it's for people who maybe have studied language for 2 or 3 years, whether it's right now or it was a long time ago, and they want to pick it up again, maintain their language skills. And it's just reading. It's reading in that language for fun. It's reading real life things. Because you can go try to read something in German in a German newspaper. There's plenty online now, but that might be too hard for you. This is to the beginner level, but in that niche of 2 to 3 years, maybe 3 to 4 years.
So what languages is it? Is it multiple languages? Like when you've put these things in here, like is it French, Spanish, German? Is it different things?
So when I started out, I have a connection to French, German, and Russian. And so the these articles would be short and familiar. So for example, if you know the story, The Wizard of Oz. So if you go to read a summary of The Wizard of Oz in French, you already have context. You know that the cyclone takes away the house and she goes down the yellow brick road so you already know some of what's going to happen or all of what's going to happen. And so you don't have to constantly look up in a dictionary vocabulary and things like that. So it's reading for fun, but you're still gaining vocabulary and learning grammar.
It's kind of like a way to immerse yourself in the language virtually, right? It's what you're kind of creating, that same context of, well, I know how to, like Jocelyn knows how to speak Spanish, right? She understands it, but she's not immersed in it. So she's got to really sit there and think, and she can't always read it perfectly. This is like a virtual immersion technique, basically, is what you're talking about, right?
Yeah. Yes. So
interesting.
The original hobby website had started out with 4 languages, French, German, Russian, and Spanish. But there was a point where the website went down and I rebuilt it, and I decided to start with a membership site. And I started with just French and German so that I could manage that a little better than 4 at a time.
And how long have you been doing this website? I'm looking at it right now. I'm on there poking around. Like, how long have you been on this website?
The website that you're looking at, it's only been online for maybe a year and a half. But the original one was online from 2010 to 2019.
Right. And this gets traffic? How much traffic does this get? Does it get pretty good traffic?
I can't tell you.
Oh, you don't have any analytics set up or anything? Or?
I do. But that's part of when we get to the obstacles and challenges thing.
It's coming, Shane. It's coming. That's what she's telling me here. Cindy's like, she's like, you don't know the can of worms you've opened on the podcast today, honey. Like, okay. All right. So this is fascinating. Okay. So let me just recap for everybody out there. So you put this website up, super simple blog, very minimalist. I'm looking at it right now just to describe it. Logo at the top, header at the top, text, telling what the resources are, things like that. We know you're getting traffic because people are randomly joining, right? You're not even, you opened the doors. You've not even tried it. Like, how big was the email list? You said you set up an email list, right? Like, how much was it?
So right now it's at 10 people. 10
emails, 10 members. Those are good odds. I like these numbers. If we can get that to 1,000 emails and 1,000 members, if we'll be batting 100%, that'll be pretty awesome. And what's funny is, and I'm just going to I'm going to come back to this too for the actual marketing part. But like, I'm looking at this, like, I don't even know how to sign up for your email list. I see where it says freebies. Is this where I click?
No,
then it opens up.
Yeah. You're not going to find a place to join there. So
yeah. It says name, email. How can we read in German? So you do have an opt-in on here. It looks like you get a free German sample is what you get on this.
And French. And there's a French sample as well.
French sample as well. Okay. Well, here's the good news. Okay. And then we're going to get into the hangups. if you can find one, you can find 101. You found 10. You have an offer that converts. Clearly, it's just a matter of how do we get it in front of people. So let's start working through this to see what's holding you back. What fears and mindset struggles are you having? Because I believe we've got a massive one that's like in the way. Because you got this momentum, you celebrated it with us in the community, and now you're kind of froze. So tell me, what's the big fear holding you back?
So the original website that was online for 9 years was my cousin's a web developer, and he built this beautiful custom website. It was easy to administer, easy to navigate, built on a SQL database. So it was very searchable and sortable for the user. I didn't know how to monetize it. I didn't, because he had done the custom work on it, and he had done it for free. It was a really great website. And I wanted to monetize it for years. I just didn't know what to do with it. And then, so I pivoted to a different online business, thinking, well, maybe I can make something else work. And that didn't go very well. It was a physical product. And I have a full-time job. So that just didn't work out. And this has always been my first love, languages.
Yeah.
So, but while I was focusing on this soap business, which was a soap business, I missed a hosting bill for that website that he built, and the website went down. And by the time I realized it, the framework was gone. I had all the content. I had built it up to about 800 articles. So there's plenty of content, but I did not want to ask him to rebuild it without paying him for it. And I didn't have the money at the time. So I thought it would go.
Wait a minute. What host was it? What was the host?
It was with Bluehost. No, I'm sorry. It was with Hotstack. Yeah, it was with the.
And when you signed back up, they told you they couldn't give you the files back for the website?
No, so I didn't have a backup because I didn't know how to do the backup within the custom. I mean, I think I had downloaded something, but it had been I didn't have a recent backup.
Yeah.
So the framework of the website itself was gone. I asked them, "Can you retrieve it?" But it had been a couple months. If it had been,
so they went. They deleted it. Is what happened.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. That's the danger too. I just want to speak to that for a second. Like, one, you got to have backups to everything. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just really good to have the backups to everything that you've got. And I have made that mistake earlier in my business as well. We lost a backup one time. We lost like 2 weeks of our forum posts. And I was like, oh, all those good questions people asked just got absolutely like deleted, and they didn't have anything. You know what I'm saying? And so that disappeared. And I was like, yep, never again. Back up everything every minute you can, people. You've got to back stuff up. But like, then you rebuilt this thing. Are all the articles inside the member area now? You've put all 800 articles inside the member area?
No. So I wanted to do a beta launch. So I did not build this from scratch. This is a trio set of templates. There's a woman who runs a business, and she will sell you the template. And she also does tech support in a private Facebook group. Okay. And so the main section of the website you're looking at, there's that. There's a membership subdomain.
I got you.
And then there's a sales funnel piece that I have worked on but haven't made public.
Okay. So it looks like you've got everything going again. That's fine. The framework and the structure maybe doesn't matter here. But like, where is you said self-sabotage. Like, where are you self-sabotaging yourself? Like, the tech you seem to have figured out. You've got you're starting to put your content back in. You've clearly got something people will want because 10 people have already tried to sign up for it. And we're not exactly sure how much traffic we're getting right now, but there's enough traffic that's producing some emails and some sales. I mean, a lot of people out there are like, wow, I love 10 members, you know? So like, well, what's the self-sabotage? Where does that come in? Are you like freaking out because people bought it now and you have to do it, or like what's going on?
This is built on WordPress. I've heard you talk about Kajabi. I totally agree with everything you say about WordPress in the sense that you've got to constantly be updating plugins. And there's always this feeling like I will click on updating plugins and almost just sort of squeak. You can't see it because I'm in the witness protection program, but I cringe because it's like, is something I update going to break this? And then I've got to figure that out. The whole thing seems like this massive machine. And one of the things is making sure that I allot time to each of the things, like updating the website and emailing my list. I conceptually know all the pieces and parts and how they're supposed to work. I've been through the Flip Life blueprint multiple times, but I think it's so for example, the first member posted the Yellow Brick Road. I'm so excited. I got my first member. And then it took 5 days for her to get logged in.
And now, was that because she couldn't log in, or because you just were waiting for her to log in?
No, I could see. So she tried, and then she emailed me. She said, I can't log in. Then I realized I had to tweak something in MemberPress, the plugin for the membership. Yeah. And then I said, okay, try it again. And she tried it. And this all took place over a period of time where we're emailing back and forth. I can't get logged. I still can't get logged in. She was very persistent. I really appreciated her. And then I go in and I would tinker with something else and think, okay, it's good now. Finally, I found something called a switch user feature where I could see what she was able to see without needing her username and password, or without her password. So, but it's not knowing what you don't know, and you're troubleshooting in the moment. I've never had a member before, so trying to get her. Now I know how that worked with her. But I'm afraid, what if I get 5 members all at once and they're all going, Cindy, I can't get logged in. And
that could happen.
It could.
And, okay. So one, I don't host my web. I do not host products on WordPress anymore. I'll host a website on it. Like, that's fine. Right. But because that's what it was originally designed for. But I will not host our member areas on it. We host our member areas in Kajabi for this exact reason. Right. It's cleaner, it's easier, it's smoother. There's not 100 different things. It's designed to host products and communities. That's what it's for. It's designed to do that. So there's not as many of these problems. You don't have to install a new plugin to see usernames and passwords. In fact, you could still have your website just the way it looks now, and you could put your product in Kajabi, and that would solve a lot of that problem. But at the same time, things happen. Like, someone's going to sign up for a product at 3 a.m. in the morning when you're asleep. They're going to look for their username and password. They don't realize that sometimes your email will put it in the promotions tab or something, and they're freaking out, and they're customer servicing, and they're yelling at you, and they're whatever. I actually love it, though. Like, I like it when people reach out to us, even if they have a problem, because if I solve their problem, they pay me next month. Right. So customer service from a mindset framework should always be like, please use customer service. Like, a lot of people I see, they're like, oh, I hope nobody writes into support today. No, come to the support desk. Please come to the support desk. We are here to help you. We want you to get logged in. We will do whatever it takes. And once you move heaven and earth for 5 days to get somebody logged in, they will not forget that. Right. So the first part is get a better system. Like, I would not use MemberPress. I would probably, you're early in the process. You could switch this to Kajabi really easily. Just give your new person a username and password, and then move all your new people over. Put your product there, and you can just link a button from your website to your thing. It's actually kind of cool to have the website on WordPress if you want, and the product in Kajabi. That's a fine layout. It protects you a little bit, because if one goes down, the other one's still up, right? So there's always somewhere for your people to go. But the second thing is, like, you've got to reframe problems. Like, it's going to happen, and it's a good thing when it happens. Because listen, when we wonder something, like when my team kills me, they're like, Shane, we've got everything set up. Do you want to go in and look at it and make sure it's okay before we go live? And I'm always like, no, send the email. Let's put 100 members in it, and they will find the problems. Like, they will go find the problems. They will figure out what's broken. They will figure out where they can't fix it. And then they'll tell us. We don't have to sit and learn and look and do it all. Right? I did a webinar the other night, Cindy, and there was one misspelling. I don't know how it got through. Jocelyn's really good at finding misspellings. It had been checked. I'd done this webinar before. Nobody ever said anything. And one person was like, hey, you spelled here. It was supposed to be HEAR on a thing, on one slide out of 100 slides. And somehow someone solved that typo, right? But hey, I'm not going to sit there for 6 hours reading through every slide. You know what I did after the webinar? I fixed it because a member told me it was amazing. They proofread it for me. And that's how your customer support is, right? So I don't know if this is self-sabotage. It may be like you're freezing on anxiety, and anxiety is always worry about what could happen, right? Like, stress is often what's happening in the moment, and anxiety is what could happen. Right. That's where anxiety comes from. So you've totally just convinced yourself, oh my gosh, what if I did get 100 members and everyone couldn't get logged in? Well, there you go. They might not be able. Hey, 2 billion people couldn't get on Facebook 2 days ago.
That's true.
Can you imagine the ulcers at Facebook headquarters yesterday when 1 billion human beings couldn't access that platform for like 6 hours, right? It's part of playing the game. you know?
And that mindset usually, I know I need to reapply that framing. So for example, I had an unsubscribe and I was thrilled because that was a milestone on the way to
Yes.
all the milestones of owning an online business.
Yes.
And
Your messaging is working. Yep. Someone got in your emails and they realized it wasn't for them. So they eliminated themselves. That is how you clean your list. Right. That is correct. So that's a great thing. And it's the same thing with customer service, right? Now, you have a tech issue. There's a text. This is called a tech stack issue. Like, what's your tech stack? Like, our tech stack is Kajabi, Monday.com, all the tech softwares and stuff that we use to run our business, right? That's our tech stack. Well, again, I don't mind a WordPress website. I do think you should always host on Kajabi, your actual platforms and programs, because you just have the power of $1 billion company behind your product. You know, they've got customer service. They have got all this. They've designed these things to work in a certain way. It just makes sense to go that kind of route with your product. Like, our product is hosted at flippedlifestyle.net. Our website is hosted at flippedlifestyle.com. We have a WordPress website because we have a 10-year-old website that has 1,000+ posts. We're not going to move all those into a new platform at this point. It's just insane, right? Our traffic is too good. But we separated that and we host all the product on Kajabi, not WordPress plugins, LearnDash, or, MemberPress or whatever you use. So I think if you moved that part to Kajabi, especially, and your sales funnel part to Kajabi, you could totally use Kajabi, like, without having to worry about it. And you wouldn't have to constantly be doing these plugins and updates and all this nonsense, at least in your product area. The membership itself, or the website itself, can have a couple plugins and whatever. If you break something, there's things you can do for $50 to fix most things in WordPress updates. But like, if your product goes down, that's when people freak out, right? So that's where you've got to have the best tech to make it work. And we think it's Kajabi for sure.
So here's a question. Because this is, when you get inside the membership, I figured out how to approximate what the original clean and elegant site did in order to look at these to read these articles. What would you think of using Kajabi for the main site, which I could then incorporate, because it incorporates email, right?
You already got this website built, so I didn't know how attached you were to it. But like, if someone was starting from scratch, if I was starting from scratch a business today, right, which I've started a couple new, I am about to start. I just had a partnership, handshake partnership with a guy. We're about to build something. We will use Kajabi for it. We will. The main website will be Kajabi. The product will be Kajabi. The email list will be Kajabi. Starting from a scratch kind of standpoint, you could totally do that if you wanted to. Yeah, that would be no problem at all. Now, I don't know how. The problem is you don't know your numbers. Like, I don't know the data. I don't know the analytics. I don't know how much traffic you're getting right now. I don't know what kind of redirects you would have to do. I don't know the complexity of moving this site right now over to that. That's why I said, if your main site is already getting traffic and you might not want to rock that boat, that would be cool if you wanted to just host the rest of it there. Because remember, every page on the internet is simply connected with a button that has a link to another page, right? Your main website is just going to click a link. They'll probably not even notice they went to Kajabi or another site. They'll just land on the next page you tell them to go to, right? Which could be your sales funnel.
What my concern with Kajabi is that these articles, for this to expand and for a way for them to read those, like, this isn't a linear thing. This is browsing through short content that is, I want to go to this category. For example, I'm going to read about movies in French today, or I'm going to read about famous places in German. And one thing I did do was reach out to the original developer. So if there was he's a professional, if he did a professional website that approximated the original one that had such a great design, and then Kajabi is the main site. I know that's still, I believe he builds in WordPress.
I think that you're overcomplicating this, right? I think you're really overcomplicating, because what you just said to me was, like, for example, I would guess, I am not looking inside your website right now, but I would guess that I would click like German, French, Spanish, or Russian first. And then I would go into a categorical thing that was all the German stuff. And in the German stuff, it would say things like places or food or whatever, yes. Correct? Is that how it's structured? That's exactly how all modern learning systems are structured. So you would go into Kajabi and a product The product would have a category. So there'd be 4, like, you know how you go in the Flip Lifestyle Blueprint, it says phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4. That would say German, Russian, French, whatever.
Okay.
Then you can create subcategories. You can create sub posts within those, right? So the sub post might say places, German places, read about German places. And then the articles themselves would exist as modules or as lessons.
Okay.
So it would be structured. There's no reason to pay someone thousands or hundreds of dollars to do that. That's exactly what they're going to build for you anyway in the learning systems. Like these new modern learning systems like Teachable or Kajabi or things like that are structured in that exact path, right? But you also get other things you don't get in custom software. Like you get the community where people could go and, like, you know, you could have 4 forums like we do and have German, French, whatever. And people could discuss the articles that they're reading. Like you could add that layer inside of Kajabi. But that's exactly how you would structure it inside of a learning system online, is you would have categories, subcategories, and resources, primary sources. And you could totally organize it like way for people. You know, you could even add something in there too. Like, this is probably down the road, but like I have in my U.S. history teacher website in Kajabi, we've got all that too. Like it says there's 14 categories or units, right? So you would pick like Civil War. And then there's inside the Civil War, there's 10 subcategories. So it would be like battles of the Civil War, important people of the Civil War, like whatever. But then when you click that, it has all the resources. Like you would have your primary source document, which is a PDF. There's a text thing where I can just put the text, I can just copy it right into the lesson. But then I have a teacher go back and teach it. Like you could eventually even get someone to just read that thing in German and they could listen while they read it.
I do have some audio files.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Yep. Those would upload straight into that module.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So like the Kajabi is designed for this. Like it was built for this purpose. Okay. And, you know, I hate to say it, but the days of going out and getting people to build stuff is almost over, right? Like we bring people in to pretty things up now, but nobody builds anything in our stuff anymore. Like we just don't need them to, because the systems like Kajabi do it for them. So you would be totally able to replicate what you had before. Now, is it going to be exactly the same? No, but guess what? Only 10 people have ever bought your product. So the next 5,000 people that buy it will never know what the old perfect was anyway. Right. That's bias from you, right? You don't even know. You may have built this big fancy thing and your members got in there and hated it, right? Like the structure you came up with or they came up with, that's your version of what it perfect, or you have to recreate that. You don't. You know, you just have to put it in these systems that are made to do this anyway.
So would there be a way to leave this where it is? Because there's not the 800 articles that there used to be. There's a sample of maybe 50, so that someone could go in there, this one user, this one member now, she's gone in there and looked at it and given me feedback. So would there be a way, there should be a way for me to build out a Kajabi website while people are still using what's live right now?
So there's a danger to that. There is a little bit of a danger to that, okay? Well, you can just leave this open. But the problem is when you move them, you're going to have to take their credit card again. Like if 100 people sign up for this, then you get Kajabi done in 3 months or 2 months or whatever. If that happens, then you're going to have to resell everybody every time. You have no way to move their credit card information or their payment processing. Yeah. So that's a problem. But you don't have to have anything in the new community. You could do exactly what you did here. Like what I would do if I was doing this right now, I would go in a weekend and I would say German, Russian, French, Spanish. That'd be my categories. Under those, I would create the subcategories of the modules, whatever those are. Are these all PDFs? What are these? Are they PDFs basically that they look at, or just like printable files?
Within WordPress, there's something called an accordion module. It's like FAQs where you click a plus sign and it opens up. Then you click another plus sign below that, and then that opens up.
Okay. You'll just have to copy and paste them in is what's going to have to happen. You would copy and paste them into the content, into the body area of the course is what you would do. So that way now people don't have to accordion nothing. They just click, read, right, in Kajabi. I would go put like the first lesson or the first primary source, resource, reading resource of each language, put it 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I would just outline what's going to happen. Like I would I would just hit a module, put a title of the next article in, hit a module, put a title of the next article in, and then put in parentheses coming soon. And as you get them in there, they'll bulk up really fast. This isn't something that someone can use every day. They're probably going to look at this and read 1 article a day or whatever, like to practice. So like you've got time. If they can get in there and there's 2 or 3 resources and they all say coming soon, and you just sell it like you're constantly adding new materials. Like that's how you pitch it, right? And then you just build it as you go. I would not try to build this thing and then resell it. I would just get the sales page built, get the offers created, and then inside of it, I would create the skeleton of what it's going to be, inside of Kajabi. So that basically, like when you look in the blueprint, that picture of me and Jocelyn's at the top, right? And then it says start here, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. Imagine if you went into phase 1, the idea stuff, and it was just that first idea training. But the other ones were there, like confirm your idea can make money, choose your idea, SEO research. But they would just say coming soon, and they'd be kind of blacked out. So like that's what you've got to build first, is build the skeleton, take about a week to do that. Then switch that member login link to send your current members a New Year's thing that says, hey, I need you to sign up over here now. And then they'll move, and however many of them move, they move, right? And that's where you could host that product and you never have to worry about updating it and all that stuff again. I don't think you're self-sabotaging. What I hear is you really want this to just work, right? And you don't want to build a bad product or something that doesn't work for the people that find you because you're getting found. Yes. Is that actually what it is?
Yeah, I've been doing what I'm doing when my day job for 12 years, and I can do it really well. But in this, and I know psychologically that you can't be good in the beginning. You have to go through all the growing pains in order to get good. And so I think I just need to keep reminding myself of that.
Yeah.
And if someone wants this, it's almost like the person who unsubscribed, they weren't in the right place. If someone says, oh, I'm not going to stick with this because of the technology isn't working right or something like that, or that person didn't answer me in 12 hours, I just have to remind myself there are how many billion people on the planet?
7.2 billion.
I'm looking for I'm looking for 200 or 400 or whatever. A very small number. I do understand that.
Yes. And there's the old adage of, you do something and you're terrible at it, and tomorrow you're less terrible. Not good. We're just less terrible, right? And you're just right now, you're just building out your structure, but you clearly have a product that is interesting people, right? And you have something good, but it's, what does Jocelyn always say? Don't let great be the enemy of good, or something like that. It's not going to be great. You're not going to be able to build this thing correctly. You need people to wrestle with it and break it and not be able to do things, because that bias of what you think it should look like is probably not what your customers need. Like Jocelyn told me that at lunch today. Man, I should have brought Jocelyn in on this call, Cindy, because she was all over me today. It was like Jocelyn was saying, we can't assume that what we think is right, or that we're even explaining ourselves correctly. Like it has to be processed by the user, and so many people want to make 100 video modules and get their whole course built and have 67 blog posts. And you all listening out there, I know who you are. I'm talking to you people in the car right now on that commute, like Cindy. Like you want it to be perfect, but it ain't got to be perfect. It's just got to be done. And then people got to look at it and break it. And then you got to put it back together better. Right. And when you do that, that's when good things happen. The Flipped Lifestyle Blueprint's been around almost 8 years now. It is still not perfect. Like we still have people asking for new things, finding things that are outdated, breaking things, can't log in. Payments fail. Like all these things happen, not as frequently as they used to, right? We have much better ways to handle those now, like systems and people and team and all that. But at the same time, it ain't perfect, and it is never going to be perfect. So we don't strive for perfection. We strive for excellence and effort. That's what we're striving for. And I think what I'm hearing from you is you are an excellent person. You are super competent in every other part of your life, and you're trying to get to 12 years of competence in this in 12 months. And that's just not you can't compare those two jobs to each other. You can't. I
have another question.
Go ahead.
Something that I've never heard on any podcast related to online business. So,
is it on any podcast or any period?
Well, any viewers or anything related to online business. It's a simple question. It's just an opposite kind of a thing. So getting away from the self-sabotage stuff. So Facebook ads, whenever someone asks a question about that, or whenever a training comes up, it's always framed in the sense of, you can give something up. You can spend $5 a day. You can get by with that. You don't need to spend a whole bunch of money. My question is this: is there, when you're starting out, and I haven't done ads yet because I'm trying to get all the other stuff a little bit better, is there a ceiling when you're starting out I'm not saying I have tons of money, but is there a ceiling that you probably wouldn't want to go above? Like, let's say you did have more than $5 a day. Is $100 a day too much? I mean, or let's say $75 a day.
There is, but it's different for every ad campaign. So like I would not ever, even if I had $10,000 a month, if I had $1,000 a day that I could spend on ads, I would still start the ads at like $10 a day.
Okay.
Because you got to let the compute, that's just good. That's best practices. Like you start it, let the algorithm find people. Then a week later, you see how it converts. If it's getting some traction, you add $10. Now you're up to $20 a day. The general rule is if you can spend 1,000 and make 1,001, keep spending money. Like the ad game works on getting back more than you put in. Right? You spend as much money as you can. So, but at the same time, you got to ramp up an ad campaign. You don't want to just start an ad campaign at $100 a day because it's going to take the algorithm time to figure out what to do with your ad and who to show it to. Right? So no, there is no cap. There is no cap. Like, I mean, I even have friends like Brooke Castillo. She'll spend $600 on one email on one customer, right? Because her membership is $300 a month and they all stay like 6 months. So if she could spend $600 a day to get one customer, that's fine because in 9 months she'll make profit, right? Yeah. Like the third renewal, or 3 months she'll make profit because she'll get that third payment, and then fourth payment, fifth payment she makes profit. So there's technically right now she could spend $1,500 a day to get one customer, and out the other side is $300 profit. Like, would you trade $1,500 for $1,800? Of course you would. Everyone would. Anyone who says no to that question isn't doing the math correctly, right? So like that's the only cap is when you stop making your money back, right? But you've got to kind of lose money on the front end to figure that point out. Like you're not going to start making ROI your first week. Another argument here is, yes, you can spend $5 a day, or you could spend $500 a day. The only thing you're changing is the time frame of how fast you're going to succeed. Like let's say we were spending 5 and making 6, right? That's great. You're going. Let's say we're getting one customer a day for $5, right, or whatever, and we're making back $6 off of it. That's fine. You can do that every day, and you're going to have at the end of the year 365 sales, right? But what if you could spend, if that's one customer a day is $5? What if you spent $25 a day? You get 5 customers a day, so you would get to 365 customers faster. You see what I'm saying? So the ramp up is to let the algorithm learn. There's a lot of best practices about this, but if someone has money, if you got enough money to do it, it's probably better just to hire someone who knows what they're doing and not learn it. Your money would be better spent giving someone else money to go do the ads. And even if they spent less, they'd probably do it so much better than you that it would pay off better. Yeah. That's a good question though. Like the answer to that question is how much, what's the top level I should spend on ads until it stops making money? Like, yeah, if you make $1, if you spend $1 million and you make $1,000,001, spend $1,000 million, because at the end of it, you're going to have a lot of $1 bills, right? So that's how it goes. Great questions. Okay, so let's talk about calls to action here. Like, what do you think that you should do next? How can I don't want you to hesitate here. Never hesitate when you have an offer that's converted 10 times. You have got to get this sorted out where you can get this in front of more people confidently and grow it, because people want this. Especially the messaging standpoint of language immersion at home. That's a brilliant product. So what do you think you need to do next?
So this has lived in 2 different places now. It lived in the original website. There's this website, which for me is, I'm always concerned about the plugins. So getting that straightened out is really the first thing I have to do, is to get this, because my temptation is to write more content, because I love that. And I have a leash on myself to not do that, because there's too many other things that can come later. There's enough content right now to go in there and satisfy.
100%. Yes. I think you could literally in a weekend, like once you get in Kajabi, like there's only home about, I don't know how many pages. And like also too, there's this like anti-crawler protection. There's some plugin in here. It's like that's a spam alert. People are hitting back on that eventually. You got to get off this WordPress stuff, and like the blog, like I see your blog post. There's not a ton of entries in here right now, are there?
I think there's 8 blog posts.
You could rebuild this in Kajabi yourself with no help in a week. I promise you can. It's all text. Just copy paste some images, And then all you got to do is point this URL, which you can do a tutorial or hire somebody for $25 to do a redirect to point to the new Kajabi site. And then you got total control and you don't have to worry about all this anymore. And all your product would live inside it. Everything will be fine. And people can find the resources that they need. You can design it in there, and we can help you too. Like when you get in there, like, hey, will somebody take a look at this? Does it look right? But you could rebuild this whole thing in there right now with no problems and get it done. So yeah, I think that's the next step. Again, not bashing WordPress. We have a WordPress website. People see me that message all the time. Why do you have a WordPress website? Because I've been in business for a decade, right? It's our site is massive, and also I have a team that I pay to handle all the back end. So like people ask me like WordPress, well, yeah, you could do what I do. You can go hire someone, that runs all your plugins for you. I haven't looked at a plugin in 5 years, right? So I don't care what we're hosting on, but for everybody else, you might want to do something that doesn't have all that in there, correct?
That's a mental load that I'm not having to think about. I can focus on other things then.
Well, Cindy, listen, congratulations. I know a lot of people that have never had their first member, and I definitely know a lot of people that have never got to 10. And your offer is converting. We just have to get it where we can get it in front of people, right? We got to put it on the trucks and deliver it out. I have no doubt that you're going to get in there and absolutely crush it. So thank you so much for being transparent, talking with me about self-sabotage today, and sharing with the Flipped Lifestyle community.
Thanks. I really appreciate it.
All right, y'all. That wraps up my coaching call with Flipped Lifestyle community member Cindy Dunn. What an amazing, amazing person. Man, she is out there crushing it. I mean, she has an email list of 10 people. She just launched this thing recently. And guess what happened? People joined. If you build it and put it out there, you give yourself a chance at success, a chance to create a better future for your family. And that's what we are in the business of doing over at Flipped Lifestyle, is giving you the opportunity to build something amazing that could flip your life. Hey, we'd like to help you like we're helping Cindy. Maybe over the past 3 years, you've joined other programs, tried other things, and didn't make any progress. But you heard Cindy say it. She got more done in 3 months inside the Flip Lifestyle community than she did in 3 years trying it on her own. That's what we want for you too. That's why you should join the Flip Lifestyle community, just like Cindy. Who knows, 3 months from now, you may have your first paying members as well. All you have to do to get started is go to flippedlifestyle.com/free. That's FLIPPED lifestyle.com/free. We've got a free online business quick start kit there. It's going to help you figure out your idea, help you figure out your next steps, and help you get started in your online journey. Everybody, including you, everybody, listen to me now. Everybody has God-given skills, talents, wisdom, ability, experiences that they can use to start, build, and grow an online business. Go out and have a membership site with 100 people in it, paying them $50 a month, $60,000 a year, 200 people making $120,000 a year. We have seen it happen hundreds and hundreds of times inside the Flipped Lifestyle community. And the only way you'll know if it can happen to you is if you get started today. So head over to flippedlifestyle.com/free and start your journey right now. All right, guys, we are about out of time for today. But before we go, I love to share a Bible verse at the end of every Flip Lifestyle podcast. Jocelyn and I get a lot of our inspiration and motivation in business and in life from the Bible. A lot of amazing wisdom in there. And I love to share some of the stuff that I'm thinking about or reading with you here on the podcast. And I think this Bible verse goes right along with Cindy's dilemma. In Romans chapter 7, verse 15, Paul is wrestling with this struggle of he knows what he should be doing, but he's just not doing it. In that verse, Paul says, I do not understand what I do. For what I want to do, I do not do. But I do what I hate. And that's kind of like us in online business, right? Like you heard Cindy, she's like, I know what I should do. I should use this easier platform. I should fill this thing up with the content, the 800 articles I've already created. I should put this out in front of more people. But then self-sabotage creeps in. And then doubts creep in. And then perfectionism creeps in, and you don't do it. That's the struggle that we all face as entrepreneurs. But later in the chapter, Paul says, hey, but you know what? I look at Christ, I look at God, and I use that example and I use that accountability to overcome that instinct of self-sabotage, to overcome that perfectionism. Listen, we are all going through this struggle of perfectionism, self-sabotage. We do something good and we find a way to beat ourselves at the game. But if we rally ourselves together in community, if we follow the process, the proven plan, that's how we will overcome these weaknesses and make great things happen for our future. If you need that community, you know where to find us over at flippedlifestyle.com. Hey, if you love the podcast and you listen every week, do me a favor, go leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Type in a review. I read every single one of those reviews. And hey, if you loved this episode or any episodes of the show, help us grow it. Help us stick around. Help us keep bringing you amazing conversations every single week. Give this podcast a share on social media, or hey, why not even tell a friend? Just say, hey, can I borrow your phone for a minute? I'm going to subscribe you to a podcast that you need to listen to. As always, thank you guys so much for listening to the Flip Lifestyle Podcast. I'll be back with you again next time. Until then, get out there, take action, do whatever it takes to flip your life. We'll see you then.
Bye.
One of the reasons I joined back up, I joined Flip Lifestyle 4 years ago. And then I was like, I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm not ready for this. And so when I came back with a vengeance. And one of the reasons that it's worth it to pay is I'm not just paying to be a member for all of yours and Jocelyn's experience. I'm also getting the benefit of everybody else you talk to.
Amen.
That's astonishing. So really glad I came back.